Hey guys, it's Redbeard here from Gun Humors, and today I'm going to be talking with my good friend Cory Zulsdorf. And today we're going to talk and actually give you a little bit of a different perspective on things because, Cory, I'd like to talk a little bit about yourself here for a bit and about your background.
All right. I served in the Army for 2 years, and I was medically discharged. So I got out a little bit earlier than what I expected to do. I was a cavalry scout, 19 Delta. We focus on reconnaissance operations and security operations. So, yeah.
So today we're going to talk about Airsoft in kind of like a discussion format, and we're going to get a prior service member's point of view and take on that. Now, just as a heads up, he is a member of Lulzsoft, so we're a little biased because he played Airsoft prior to going to the military. But he does have some very, very good insights into the cross between service and Airsoft that are actually very intriguing that you guys should know. So, first off, why, or like, just go right this. We had this conversation fairly recently. Going into basic training or OSIT, what were some things that when you played Airsoft that kind of helped you or gave you felt like kind of gave you like a leg up?
Well, I would definitely say all the fine motor skills from Airsoft, it definitely translates over to actual real steel use. I mean, obviously things are different. When you reload an Airsoft, you don't have to hit a bolt catch. But the whole motion of getting that magazine out of the pouch and into your weapon and getting ready to fire, that easily translated over to me. I didn't see it as an unfamiliar thing. Before the Army, I'd shot relay AR-15s, but all that experience with fine motor skills and basically wearing kit and all that, it really, really prepared me, and I didn't feel uncomfortable like the other guys when I was wearing full kit. I had a pretty good idea of how to set up my kit. Obviously, with time and experience and all those field ops that you do in the Army, you start to learn more of how you need to set up your gear and what you need to bring, and everything has to have a purpose. Don't just put a pouch on your kit without really asking yourself, do I need this? Why do I need it? And if someone asks me, am I prepared to tell them why I have this piece of equipment? I see a lot of people now in the Airsoft community who just are buried in gear. And I think to myself in my lightweight kit, why the hell do they have all that stuff? What do they need it for? I've never seen anyone in the military carry a pouch like that, unless they're like super high-speed special operations, maybe. But even those guys, you should see some of their kits.
Actually, it's funny that you say that because actually, you guys all know this because you've heard Ehouse and I talk about that when we were talking about gear philosophy and stuff like that. Is that every time we put on something, we don't try to go to replicate or mimic anybody. All the stuff that's on our gear has a purpose. It serves a purpose, and we develop it from experience. So when we're actually like playing games and stuff like that, there's a reason why my rig looks the way it does. There's a reason why his rig looks the way it does. Or any particular setup, in whether I'm wearing a plate carrier, there's certain situations why I run a plate carrier. There's certain situations why I don't run a plate carrier and I run an RRV. And what I wear with the RRV in terms of backpacks and stuff like that. It's all learned through experience.
Experience is one of the most valuable things in life, and especially for Airsoft. When you see brand new guys out there who are basically out of play. They just don't know what to do. They don't have the knowledge, and they're afraid. And you can't really be afraid. You just have to execute. And you're going to have more fun that way, and your team might do a little bit better if you just execute. And back to gear, in Airsoft, a lot of the times, if I'm working on new kits, if I have different chest rigs, a lot of times at halftime, I'll just switch out. I'll switch to a different kit just to get a good feel for it. And just to test it out, because if you don't do that, if you don't actually go into play and you're dealing with all these elements that are restraining you, then you might not want to consider using some of that equipment. You have to use it. You have to do something about it. and figure out what your niche is.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I have seen only a few airsofters do. I know amongst our group we always see that.
Yeah.
That's because it's us. But like some of the other players where it's just kind of like, oh, like I've been told that I look like a ranger person. I've heard that. That's come out of people's mouths. So I went to a hotel game and it was like a social experiment something 3 years ago. Someone says, "Dude, you look like a ranger." I wasn't trying to, at all. Not even remotely. I was like, "Hey, I have a helmet. Cool. I want to put patches on it. Cool. How do I do that? You put Velcro on it. Cool." Then all of a sudden I look up a picture. Oh, guess what? Other people that are actually serving kind of look like that. Oops, my bad. Also, just because of the fact that I have a beard does not mean I served in the military. Please.
That's true.
Stop it! Anyway, so one of the other things that actually, from our prior discussions, that actually kind of was very interesting is, I'm trying to figure out how to word this question right. Talking about the mentality and how you approach things between the military, because I know you're a Milson player. Mm. You're a Milson player before going into the military.
Absolutely.
We're both Milson players, so we all understand this. Now, after being in the military, you learned some things with us a little bit that kind of helped you, but it's all about like that mentality. Do you see kind of some similarities between Milson and Airsoft before going into the military and then after coming out? Did like the mentality kind of change?
The mentality did change, and it only got better. Being in the military, you learn this idea of violence of action. And I know the other guys on Lulzsoft and Gun Gamers have talked about that before. But when you actually do it, it really, how can I put this? When you train for violence of action, and you just become a different person. You have a switch. You can turn it on and off. You can go 100 miles an hour, and you can go 0. You just go 5 miles an hour. I don't know. There's times there's in the military and milsim, a maneuver is a maneuver. You know, obviously there's different elements in real combat. It's a full spectrum battlefield. There's all these things against you. In Airsoft, it's more of you and them. And when it gets to that situation, that's when the violence of action is really, really needed. You know, if someone's shooting at you, you're gonna be thinking to yourself, "Oh man, I really wish someone would flank them right now." Well, maybe you should be that guy flanking them, or maybe you should be that guy laying down that base of fire so someone else can flank. When it comes to military and milsim, there really is no difference there. A maneuver is a maneuver. A flank is a flank. A base of fire is a base of fire. But coming back from the Army and getting back into Airsoft, I'm definitely I would say a better Airsoft player. I'm not really any good. I don't boast that I'm some Billy badass, not even when I was in the Army or anything. You're more of an aggressive person. You're not afraid to get hit. You're more afraid of letting your buddies down and letting your team down. Being aggressive in Airsoft is just it's a better way to play. Sitting back is not fun. No one likes to do that, and it's not effective. It's not efficient. You need to get out there and make shit happen.
And I've talked to E-House about this, and that comes from the mentality of, I see this a lot with newer players. They tend to want to freeze up or go like that slower pace, be like, "Oh, I don't want to get hit. I don't want to get hit." This isn't like Call of Duty or Battlefield. There's no KDR tracker or anything like that. It doesn't matter. At least in the particular type of Airsoft that we play, or even any Airsoft. Because I know we play over River City Airsoft, and we play against. I did not know this was like a particular to a Western New York kind of thing in some other specific areas, but we have this great debate between Speedsoft players and Milson players, and you know how you, as the audience, know how myself and E-House feel about this. We don't give two shits whatever you play. There's always an objective, and that objective is what matters. I don't care about my KDR. If I die more than I kill people, I don't care as long as my team gets the job done. We win. If we play capture the flag, my team's getting that flag up. I don't care if I get hit. Yeah. You're going to get hit. It's Airsoft. You're going to get hit. As soon as you come to accept that fact, and you know, hey, might hurt, might not hurt, you don't know. You won't know until you get hit, but god damn it, go try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when I went to River City, a couple weeks ago, it was my first time playing at Op Relentless, and it was definitely an interesting experience playing against guys that are super fast paced, have these ridiculous guns, and they make you work. Every step you take, you fight for it. It's a really fun way to play. Like, even as a Milson player, you might say, "Oh, this sucks." You know, these guys are ridiculous. All they care about is their guns. They don't have any gear. They don't even wear camo. They just shoot at me. That's a great way to play. You're really going to learn something from that. You're going to learn that every step you take is precious. That cover that you work, you should probably work it a little bit better against those guys. I'm not out there to say that Milson players are better than Speedsoft players or vice versa, but it's a great experience. You need to do it. You need to experience that type of airsoft.
Well, I mean, coming to think about it, a lot of the people that say, "Hey, Speedsoft's kind of gay," blah blah blah, or something like that, those are the people that usually get beat by them.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why you get beat by them. And if you read anything, because you hear me preach about it all the time, if you read any books, go read Outlaw Platoon. Just do it. You'll learn something. Because I know exactly there's a direct parallel, not a direct parallel, but very similar in their play style. It's very similar to how some Taliban groups that our military is fighting right now. That's the way they are. They have, hey, you carry the gun, you carry the bullets, you don't wear chest rigs. They may wear a chest rig, they don't wear body armor, and they can fly up and down those mountains like billy goats.
Well, American soldiers are bogged down in 80 pounds of gear and kit, and maybe a 240, which is not a friendly weapon to carry.
You would know about that.
They're a little bit on the heavy side, I would say.
Yeah. And
then your buddy's carrying all the ammo for it. Mm-hmm. You're going to be moving a little bit slow up those mountains.
Yeah. But what you actually brought up is, hey, you got to use that. Use that to your advantage. I talk about that all the time when I play, and that's actually how I approach it. When I play against the Speedsofter, I know, like, Andre, he's really good, especially when you play a team of them, and you have a team of Milson people. That's really going to test your ability to maneuver, that fire maneuver. And that comes down to the mentality of it, where, hey, it's no longer about me. It's not about me. And you can attest for this, because I know people that have served in the military, that it's not, in that setting, it's not about you.
No, it's about the guys standing to your left and right. Like, yeah, Airsoft's a game, it's a sport, but do you want to let your team down? Is that really something you want to do? Probably not. So you need to do what's best for everyone around you, not just what's good for you. You shouldn't leave any assets in reserve. You know, if your buddy has a 6-round revolving MGL, maybe he should bring it.
Yes.
Yes. Despite how heavy it is, you guys can switch off carrying it. I know when I first got into Lulzsoft, the first time I played, they're like, "Hey, we have an M60. You're going to carry it." I was not upset at all. I did work with that thing. You know, I really helped out the team by laying down a good base of fire so they can maneuver. Yeah. That's what Airsoft is.
Actually,
it's all about maneuvering.
I think actually when I read like the infantry handbook, because I also play Realism Arma, which is very much the same kind of mentality. But of course, being video game land, we have access to simulate things that you can't do on an airsoft field. So we can have people fly A-10s and drive Bradleys, and we can have access to fucking DMRs and shit like that, or AT-4s to counter vehicles, or M320s. Each person in a fire team, there's a grenadier that carries an M320 and have high explosives that can be launched from a fucking grenade launcher. It's all about maximizing the firepower that you have, and actually putting that to use to work for you. Because I know at Red Storm East, when we were prepping for it, I was the squad lead. So I actually sat there and read through, and they're like, oh, they talked about the classes and stuff, and I was like, I know some of us have grenade launchers. We actually brought one, and actually had somebody carry it, just in case we needed it.
Yeah.
If we had a scenario where we're like, hey, we need to clear this room, our normal way of doing it's not working out very well. Hey, I got that tool. I got that little piece of equipment I can use in that scenario.
One of the most important things is use what you have. Definitely, you know, everything, like I said earlier, everything has a purpose, and maximize all those purposes for each tool, each piece of equipment that you bring. There has to be a purpose for it. It's so important. Ounces make pounds, and pounds make pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true.
Now, just to kind of wrap up this video, see how, if you could give 3 pieces of advice for a young guy, maybe like 16, 17, 18, right on that verge, who wants to go in the military, but he wants to play Airsoft, or he's using Airsoft to kind of leap forward, how should he approach playing Airsoft? 3 advices for that.
Number 1, workout.
We talked about that. Eric and I have talked out about that. Yes, do that.
Before I joined the Army, I was about 240 pounds, and in 3 weeks, I lost almost 20 pounds. I ran 36 miles a week, and when I got to the Army, I felt somewhat prepared for the running. And something that I never struggled with before was push-ups and sit-ups. When I got there, I focused so much on running, I was like, oh man, my push-ups and sit-ups are kind of low on this PT test. I need to work on that. So work out, eat right, take care of your body. That's advice point number 1, and that'll help you in the Airsoft world too.
Worlds, I will attest to that. I'm able, and it's not so much that it's focusing on the endurance. It's being able to do, like, if you're playing that little higher paced game, dude, you got to be able to run, dude. Like right in the beginning, you will always see me. I sprint full bore. I don't care. Yeah. I'm gonna get there first, and I'm gonna set up, and I'm gonna start shooting you every single time. But it's being able to do that over and over again.
All those repetitive actions.
That, and you'll reduce the likelihood of tearing something.
Yep.
Pulling something, breaking something. Hopefully not breaking something.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Yeah. Voice point number 2.
Advice point number 2. Don't let anyone bring you down. It's very important. If you're going into the military, everything's going to be against you. You know, you're going to have drill instructors or drill sergeants. They're going to be trying to mentally destroy you, and physically in some ways. They'll try and destroy you. But when it comes down to, you know, everyone else, don't let them break you down. Don't let anything they say hurt you. You just have to be tough. And if you can't handle the mental aspect of the military, there's another problem, and that problem is you. You have to become stronger. You have to be able to take all the punches, whether it's a blind side or they're coming right at you. You have to be tough. Mentally is way more important than physically. I probably should have said that first. But okay. Being mentally tough is extremely important. And that'll help you in Airsoft too, like we were talking about, that aggression. You have to be able to turn that switch on and off. You have to be able to control your emotions and not let the emotion affect what you're trying to do. So yeah, that's number 2.
Number 3, last point.
Never stop training. Never stop training. You know, if you get bored, why not pick up your kit and your mags and your weapon and practice reloading? It's a little hard to do that in the military because you have an arms room. But in Airsoft, keep training. You know, create that muscle memory, so you're just getting better. And with a lot of stuff too, you know, keep thinking about all the stuff in Airsoft that you should be thinking about, like your equipment, your weapon, how's it doing, how's it shooting. Maybe I should test it out. Maybe I should see if these things still work. Maybe I should change out the batteries for your optics, so 2 years later, when you get home from the military, they're not dead.
True story, I take it?
Yeah, true story. It was really sad.
Optic batteries. Check them.
Bring extras.
Always. Always. I carry extra batteries for everything. Actually.
But never stop training. Never stop doing the things you love. You know, if training's one of those things, that's even better. Talk to your buddies. Keep in touch with your friends, because things change. As you get older, things change. Mm-hmm. You'll get weak in some areas, and you might get stronger in some other areas, but you keep doing the things that you do and make it a habit of training. You're going to get better. You're going to be a better person. You're going to be more effective at whatever you want to do. So don't stop. Don't quit.
I mean, because if you're really that passionate about trying to get to be in the military and trying to use Airsoft as that vehicle. You have to put your mentality as in, especially if you go on the Milson side of it, and this is where my approach is. What could I do this as like that being my job, being over in the sandbox? Could I do that every single day?
Yeah.
Because there's been times I played Airsoft where it's only like 90-something degrees, but it's humid as shit, and people are getting fucking heat stroke and shit. And I literally told myself one day, I'm like, yep, couldn't do this. A whole newfound appreciation for that. But seriously, it's a gut check if you take it that seriously. That's something I do. I do it every single time. Every time I sit there and play Airsoft, I sit there and go, yeah, these are BBs, but every time I get hit, that would be like me getting hit with a bullet. And that would hurt a lot more. You have to take that. You gotta take that seriously. But that's why I play Milson, though. And that's where it comes down to it. So, hope you guys enjoyed this little podcast, and you're gonna see more of Cory and hear more of Cory. So, I'm Redbeard. This is Cory.
I'm Pagan.
Also known as Pagan.
Yeah, that's my call sign. I mean,
Also
he's got
Pagan.
a call sign. I gotta have one too, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
He's working on his beard. Not quite as long as mine now. But also, if you ever want to know how to grow a beard, it's as easy as doing step 3, if you know what I'm talking about. Yes, if you don't, go watch the How to Grow a Tactical Beard one, where I slap Eric. It was great. I enjoyed it. Alright, this is Redbeard. Peace.